Georgia is experiencing a deep political crisis following the parliamentary elections held on October 26, 2024. The ruling party, Georgian Dream, declared victory with over 54% of the vote. However, the opposition and numerous civil society groups have rejected the results, alleging widespread electoral fraud, including voter intimidation and manipulation of results. International observers have criticized the election for its biased electoral commissions, pressure on opposition candidates, and an overall environment that limited genuine political competition. The opposition refuses to accept the election results, claiming they were manipulated and rejecting the legitimacy of the new parliament. Despite months of protest, there is no clear opposition leader guiding the movement. Many demonstrations are organized by civil society rather than by political parties. Notably, opposition leader Nika Gvaramia was reportedly beaten unconscious by police during ongoing protests against the government's decision to suspend EU membership talks. This incident underscores the escalating tensions and the government's crackdown on dissent. Georgian President Salome Zurabishvili has increasingly distanced herself from the ruling Georgian Dream Party. Zurabishvili, whose role is largely ceremonial, has openly criticized the government's handling of the elections and its decision to suspend EU accession talks. She has called for political dialogue and warned that Georgia risks international isolation if democratic standards continue to erode. International organizations and the European Union have expressed concerns about election irregularities and political pressure on the opposition. The EU, along with leaders from France, Germany, and Poland, has called for swift and transparent investigations into the reported irregularities. However, the EU's response has been ambivalent, reflecting internal divisions and the challenge of balancing support for democratic aspirations in Georgia with geopolitical considerations. Following the elections, former President Biden expressed deep concerns over what he described as democratic backsliding. Further emphasizing the United States' commitment to democratic principles, the Biden administration imposed sanctions on Bidzina Ivanishvili, the founder of Georgia's ruling Georgian Dream Party. These sanctions were in response to actions deemed to undermine Georgia's democratic institution and its Euro-Atlantic aspirations, signaling a more assertive U.S. policy towards promoting democracy in Georgia. The Trump administration's America First policy has led to a deprioritization of democracy promotion and human rights advocacy in U.S. foreign policy. This shift has resulted in a more restrained response to Georgia's internal political developments, including a strategic response to the ongoing political crisis in the country. On the other hand, the Georgian government has expressed a favorable view of Donald Trump, hoping his returns to office would strengthen U.S.-Georgia relations. Georgian officials have emphasized the potential for a reset in ties under Trump's leadership. They align with Trump's foreign policy, particularly his stance against the so-called deep state, and view it as beneficial for Georgia. There is a strong hope that Trump's approach would lead to more favorable policies for Georgia's sovereignty and strategic interests. Russia's involvement in Georgia's 2024 elections has been a subject of significant controversy, with many suggestions that Moscow attempted to influence the electoral process. Georgian President Salome Zurabishvili and opposition groups have accused Russia of orchestrating targeted voter manipulation campaigns, citing leaked recordings that hint at Moscow's involvement. While the Kremlin has denied these claims, it has long been suspected of supporting the ruling Georgian Dream Party, which has shown a more pro-Russian stance, especially in recent years. This alignment has sparked concern among pro-European factions in Georgia, as the Georgian Dream Party's policies seem to favor closer ties with Russia, even as the public overwhelmingly supports EU integration. Given recent developments, Georgia's relationship with the EU has become increasingly strained. The Georgian government has halted important talks about joining the EU, and some of its new laws are perceived as conflicting with European values. Many Georgians feel disappointed, seeing their European future in jeopardy. This has led to widespread protest, with citizens advocating for democracy and a closer relationship with the European Union. The EU has frozen negotiations and suspended funds due to repressive laws adopted in Georgia, considering possible additional sanctions. The situation presents a dilemma for the EU between maintaining ties with the Georgian population aspiring for EU integration and preventing Georgia from moving closer to Moscow.